West Denver. Sleep deprived and heavily caffeinated.
All right, let's do this then.
This is the Jeff and Bill Show.
I don't agree with that.
They don't always agree, but hey, at least they have coffee.
Coffee.
And each other.
I love you, man.
God help us.
I want to bless him. We need all the help we can get.
Now here's Jeff Hunt and Bill Thorpe. The Jeff and Bill Show on News Talk 710 KNUS.
10 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Thursday, September 18th, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned in to the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights, hottest takes from the right, left, and center. I want to bring Blake in. Let's bring Blake in on this conversation. So Gary calls in, makes a critique. He goes, yesterday you guys were talking about how the left has escalated. And they escalated to violence. They're destroying campaign signs. And when referring to people as fascists and as Nazis, they are, and I said as communists, laying the groundwork to dehumanize and then to bring about violence. He goes, but then aren't you guys oftentimes referring to the left as communists? Now, it's a fair critique, but I think there's a difference here. And Blake, I'll give you a second here in just a minute to give me your perspective. If you had a series of protests all throughout the country, if you had assassination attempts against the political figures, if you actually had successful assassination attempts, and then you had violence and destruction of memorials, of property, I've been assaulted by groups from the right. Let's say we had this going on throughout the country from the right. Just everything I described, assassination attempts, actual assassinations, destruction of property, violence, all coming from referring to people as communists, then I think you can make that statement. But you have that actually happening from one side. I've been called a fascist. I've been assaulted by people that think I'm a fascist. I've watched our families' campaign signs get destroyed by people who think we're fascist. I've watched people on my side shot at, killed in public, and that language has led to violence. From my perspective, that seems to be happening on one side. So to try to equate what Blake said as part of the same problem, I think is not accurate. But, Blake, I'll give you your turn. He mentioned you?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think Gary brings up a great point. He does. Absolutely. This is news and comment. That's my opinion, that based on his track record, Adam Schiff appears to be a communist more than he does an American Democrat. Now, yes, he's a Democrat. But based on everything that he has done to attack people in this country, as Gary well knows, and Gary said he's not a big fan of Schiff, and I get that. But I am not calling for his death. I'm not saying go out and kill Adam Schiff. Of course not. Don't go out and kill or murder or assassinate anyone. Absolutely not. It's the war of ideas. That is what we're talking about here. And because it's news and comment and opinion, that is why I do that. I mean, you know, for the most part, when you look at guys like Schiff, I mean, it's hard to distinguish, you know, between him being a Democrat, quote unquote, and a communist. Because if you look at what communists, you know, have done in our history and world history, a lot of that is similar to, you know, the tactics that he has taken. And you can go back to 2015 and prior to, leading up to Russia and the Russia hoax. And that's why. So absolutely not calling for anyone to kill anyone. I mean, it's the war of ideas. And I agree with you. When you look at that, I mean, conservatives don't go, generally speaking, conservatives don't go out there. They understand the difference, you know, between, hey, you know what, you don't go murder a communist because they're a communist. There are communists all over the place on planet Earth, but we don't go out and kill them. And However, you look at the left, and it gets in their brain, and they don't even know what a fascist is, and they call, DJT a fascist, and he's, tell me why he's a fascist, and why you should take the life of Charlie Kirk. He's not a fascist. He's not a Nazi. He's not a racist. So. It's opinion, but
I think
he brings up a good point.
Well,
though.
I think Gary's point would be valid. Gary's point would be valid if you had protests almost every weekend around the nation, some of them getting violent, conservatives out there calling for the death of communists. Believe me, I see those at protests on the other side almost every weekend. You had the attempted assassination of the major leader of that movement, the actual assassination of somebody involved in that movement. If you had all that, and Gary calls in and goes, look, you guys need to tone down the language. It's leading to violence. I think that would be valid. But to look at what's actually happening out there and then does lump in conservatives' concern about communism and say, well, aren't you violating the same thing? I don't think it's fair.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
Right.
I love his point, though.
Sure. Well, and that's
No
why
doubt.
we have this show, because it's a talk radio show. All right, we've got jam-packed phone lines, people joining the conversation. Love to hear from them. The phone number is 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law Text line at 720-819-5115. Now it's time for the much listened to and discussed and debated news and comment from Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Good morning. It's Thursday. It's 49 and sunny in Denver, expecting a high of 73 today. This portion of the news sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story: 1 week after the Evergreen High School shooting, Jeffco Schools and the Sheriff's Office say that staffing gaps left the school with only one part-time resource officer. Jeffco Schools' Carlin Tilley says they want an SRO at every school daily, but they can't.
To have one in every single elementary school would take almost a complete police department or sheriff's office department. There isn't any way to do that, but what they base it on is risk.
Officials said the full-time SRO was on medical leave. Yeah, that's irritating.
All right, let me help the progressives out here, because guess what? Your feel good, let's just keep guns out of the hands of bad people, clearly didn't work out here. Okay. So you're admitting you don't have the SROs. So you're at a point where you're like, well, that would take a full police department. Okay, we understand that. But for years now, conservatives have come up with the crazy idea of maybe train some of your teachers and administrators to be able to defend the students with programs like Faster, Able Shepherd, and others. There's solutions out there. You guys rejected them. You said, we don't want them. We don't want SROs. You had, what's his name, Tay Anderson, taking them all out of the Denver schools. We're going to take all the cops out. Oh, and we're going to restrict law-abiding gun owners and their access with the hopes that it may stop a school shooting. Golly. We saw this problem when it first broke, and everyone's wondering why this guy was able to reload for 9 minutes, shoot over 20 times with a revolver, and nobody was stopping him because there was no good guy with a gun.
I agree.
All right, so here's what I want you to do. Listen up, all you educators out there. All right, we have come up with a plan, and it's a great plan, and they're well equipped, and they train people. It's Laura Carno with Faster. It's Jimmy Graham with Able Shepherd. They will train your administrators. The only ones that get the guns are the trained people in your program. But At least they can defend the students. The fact that we had that school up in Evergreen, just a sitting duck, nobody there, no SRO, school resource officer, no armed teacher, no armed administrator, nobody in that school could protect those kids against that shooter. Golly, do something about it, people.
Absolutely. Yeah, and the sheriff's office now says that Evergreen will have a full-time officer moving forward. Agree with you, Jeff, on that.
It was very touching in a way that I think many of us didn't expect. A very intimate portrait into this relationship between the suspect's roommate and the suspect himself, with him repeatedly calling his roommate, who is transitioning, calling him my love, and I want to protect you, my love. So it was this duality of someone who the attorney said not only jeopardized the life of Charlie Kirk and the crowd, but was doing it in front of children, which is one of the aggravating circumstances of this case. And on the other hand, he was, speaking so lovingly about his partner. So
ABC's Matt Gutman has apologized.
You are going to drive me through the roof today, Blake. Are we?
I'm getting you
Are we
and
doing
Gary.
Hitler's
Gary's burning
review
up at
of Eva Braun's relationship as well? God. No.
Oh my goodness!
What a bad take from Matt Gutman. Jeez.
Geez, so he's apologized for it officially, but you know how they get in their own heads, and they're from New York and they want to turn it into Broadway, I guess. Oh my God, it sounded like Jimmy Kimmel wrote it, honestly. Let's see. So Kimmel's been taken off the air. Big day for ABC, a big week for ABC. And here's why they took Kimmel off the air, and DJT is celebrating it.
We had some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them, and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the...
Oh, man. Okay, so, all right, that wasn't funny. And so we'll see what happens to Kimmel. And but this is really funny. Barry Soetoro talking about his White House.
We have to recognize that on both sides, undoubtedly there are people who are extremists and who say things that are contrary to what I believe are America's core values. But I will say that those extreme views were not in my White House. I wasn't embracing them. I wasn't empowering them. I wasn't putting the weight of the United States government behind extremist views.
Now that is funny. That is classic. Kimmel should have taken that from him. CSU will enforce game day security rules today for 2 Charlie Kirk memorial events. Turning Point USA is hosting a vigil at Canvas Stadium, followed by a free speech forum in the Laurie Student Center ballroom. Flags are being flown at half-staff in Pennsylvania to honor 3 police officers who were killed in the line of duty last night in York County. 5 officers were trying to serve a warrant when someone started firing shots at them. 3 officers were killed, and the 2 surviving officers are in critical but stable condition. DJT is in the UK for the second straight day. He's meeting with Prime Minister Starmer this morning, 47 last night.
It's a singular privilege to be the first American president welcomed here. And if you think about it, it's a lot of presidents, and this was the second state visit, and that's the first, and maybe that's going to be the last time. I hope it is, actually.
Now that's funny also. Bank of America is raising its minimum wage to $25 an hour, while promising to hire 10,000 military veterans over the next 5 years. The company also said it would increase hiring from community colleges. All right, college football coming up this weekend. WYO at Folsom Field to take on the Buffaloes. Coach Prime says the Buffs are better than their 1-2 record would indicate. We shall see. UTSA, that's Texas San Antonio at CSU. Boise State at Air Force, and UNC at Houston Christian. Dolphins Bills tonight. Football is back this week. We have started the weekend. And the Broncos get ready for the Chargers Sunday. 47 in Westminster, 48 in Centennial, 49 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Very pleasant September weather for Denver in the Front Range today, tomorrow, and as we head on into the weekend. Temperatures will be 70s today and sunny, 75 to 80 and sunny on Friday. Will be around the lower to mid-80s for the weekend. The weekend might bring one or two isolated thunderstorms. Weather's a service of L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. For quick, trustworthy, and dependable service, call L&L Heating and Air Conditioning at 720-851-1691. Visit them online at bestdenverhvac.com. You'll be comfortable with L&L. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
All right, we got jam-packed phone lines.
Yes, but the broadcast signal is tricky.
Well done. That's a good one.
Thank you. Tip your waiter.
so much to talk about. You got the Jimmy Kimmel firing. You got violence that's taking place out there. Who do you blame for it? Why were there riots following the death of George Floyd, not Charlie Kirk? What's the difference there? So let's go to the phone lines. Kimmel, free speech. Larry, Denver. Good morning, Larry. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Yeah, good morning, guys. I just want to just put out the point of what our speech and what I always think about when I listen to the news, radio, television, reading, and we all know that we as human beings have the ability to influence. And what's popular today is that you hear a lot about is influencer, on the internet and influence. And what I was thinking about is just what I really do want to pause and levitate a little bit, because I think it's important what Bill said is it's not what I directly what I would tell somebody to go out and hurt someone, but we know in the political arena there's talking points that people go out and say every day. And like Bill was speaking of, if all of this stuff is true, what people are talking about, and the fear mongering that goes on, why wouldn't everyone want to arm themselves and get out there and make sure that they're protected from each side? And that's a very important thing to me. And then name calling and labeling has always been a tool, for political strategy. And I look at it, and Mr. Trump, he does it every day, 24/7, name calling. And then that influence other people. And I just think we need to be still, but people don't have to, but see how that's impacting. If a person goes in and rob a bank and there's a person sitting on the outside, they're going to look at what that connection is. So you don't have to do it yourself, but someone is out there that you can influence that could end up doing that. What you guys think about that?
Well, Larry, I wonder how much you can put weight on the words themselves. So I'm going to give you an example here. Okay, following January 6th, everybody went back and looked at what Trump said, right? And man, we parsed that speech. The entire nation parsed that speech. Trump going, look, I said peacefully. And others going, no, you said fight, 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 all that stuff. I think following what's the assassination efforts on Trump, the actual assassination of Charlie Kirk, the protests that are taking place over and over again in cities, people are going back and looking at the language. Is the language of referring to your opponents as Nazis and fascists leading to what we're getting to? Did what Donald Trump say on January 6th lead to what we're going to? So is this part of a common national trend that when violence happens, we go back and try to see, was there something that kicked it all off? Your thoughts?
Well, this is what I could do. I only know what my circle is and the people who I'm around or whatever. I hear things and people say things. I stay away or I challenge what's being said because personally, I think what used to be, and I've listened to, conservative talk radio, all kind of just everything for them. It used to be, I remember when the Republicans say, look at it, all they ever have, if they start calling names, that means they have nothing.
Right.
And so, the deal is, in my circle, when names start calling and people start labeling, I don't accept that. I just reject that because I feel like, even like I got, some white friends who say a redneck, this person, I said, I don't engage in that. You may know that person. I don't even want that to come my way because people have names, there's situations, and I could be civil and be very angry and be very dedicated to my point. But once you start labeling, and I say that as a black person because a whole lot goes on, is that if you want to get something done and you want to get people afraid, then you start labeling, you say, and you get stuff done because of this. And label been given to us, and for me, and I come from the South, I know what that is. I shy away from that very strongly because that's been used.
Yeah, you have a special spider sense based on how that language is used. And where I want to go with you just for a second, Larry, is if we jump in the Jeff and Bill Wayback Machine and we travel back to like last summer and even when we're having some of the protests on college campuses. And when it was protesting and you had the Palestinian protesters and they would set up shop on campus, but on some campuses, specifically Columbia, they got violent. They decided that their protest also had to include them breaking into buildings on campus and destroying things. Now, where I'm going with this is, during that time, Jeff and I talked about how it seems that on the college campuses, they've decided that some speech is violence, while some violence is speech. And what I want to ask you is, have we now broadened that to the rest of society? Have we now come to a point where it's not all of us, but because of how we use language against each other, are there going to be people in our society now that are going to come to the conclusion, based on how we treat each other, that my Second Amendment allows me to express my First? And what I mean by that is, I will show you I mean business and express my First Amendment by picking up this firearm and dealing with you directly.
Well, that's the scary part.
Yeah, scares me.
Of all of it. And then to tell you the truth, Bill, I don't. The only thing I could tell you is that the reason I don't call the show all the time, because I have to prune myself and say, why am I calling in? Am I too energized? Am I calling to try to be right? Am I calling in because I'm angry? I always try to calibrate myself for the reason of calling in. And the way I calibrate myself with God. Because I don't want to have a need to be right. I want to get it right. And then that's what people aren't doing. And like you said earlier, we need to pause. And if we don't pause, we be in some big trouble. And let me give this the last point.
Yeah, please.
If people don't pause on what happened on January the 6th, no matter what was exposed, you don't think China and Russia and the rest of the world, these people, they went in and they could have killed everybody. And how easy it is to access and do that. And Russia and China, they sit back and happy because we're being manipulated and people can't see it. And we're using the name of God, we're using the name of everything, and we're destroying each other And these people are sitting back. It's easily to manipulate us because of our anger, hate, or whatever you want to call it against each other. It's amazing.
Larry, Denver,
that's right.
sure appreciate it. Thanks for the call. Larry's line will be open 303-696-1971, 303-696-1971.
There's a historical philosophy that Larry was kind of talking about, the idea that depending on your society, eventually your freedoms can destroy you. It's kind of where he was going with that, was the idea that are we getting to that bromide? That, yeah, that's a little spooky. A little spooky that we believe that our freedoms then allow us to take the lives or take physical action on those people that intellectually or politically disagree with us across the board. Yeah, that's a scary point to get to in the society.
Oh, boy. Do I go here? I'm going to go here. Okay,
Yes,
I'm
let's
going to
do
go
this.
here. I don't think it's a both sidesism. I think Gary tried to do that. I've condemned January 6th. I don't think it was right. But we are, and I'm going to raise this question, why aren't we seeing the violence that you saw following George Floyd with Charlie Kirk?
Ooh, that's a good one. And I have an answer for you, but I know we need a break. Do I spill the beans now? And I will tell you, there is a definitive difference as far as what happened in both cases and why society react differently. Part of it is political, but the majority of it is not, in my opinion. And I'll explain it when we get back.
Well, I want to get to that because what you just brought up about the college campuses, I think the violence that you're seeing out there the last 12 to 16 months has been perpetuated by a single side. And that's the problem we're currently in right now. And so when Gary calls and does the kind of whataboutisms, yes, the right has engaged in violence. I'm not saying it hasn't, but it is at a much different level. It's much smaller nationally than what you've seen from the left, and it hasn't been as consistent as you see from the left. So we'll get into all of that and more. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
to the Jeff and Bill Show. Phone lines are hot. Let's go to Francis Golden. Good morning, Francis.
Good morning, you guys. Hey, as far as these labels, I think that they get way overused, and it deadens the word because it really, these are simplification tools used in the negative to describe very much more complicated and nuanced situations. And I just think everybody should back off using words like that end with an IST, racist, communist, fascist, all these things, and perhaps even a little bit back off the ism uses as well, because it's not that cut and dried. It's used to kind of sort people into groups when people aren't very sortable, and I think that's something. Now I'm gonna back off that a little bit with Blake, because he is news and comment, and he can offer a nuanced comment label there a little bit. It's a totally different usage than having somebody screaming at somebody on a street corner in a protest saying,
Francis,
you're a communist or you're a fascist.
Let me pull back. I'm going to pull back the curtain and share with you and the rest of the audience here for just a second that the reason that we want Blake doing news and commentary is specifically because of the commentary. Because here's the deal, man. You and I both know we are a 5,000 watt directional signal in Denver. We are the little tiny doggone all the time. Now, can we compete doing straight news with the other houses in town? No, that's okay. We understand our limitations. But you know what we can do? Something they're not. That's exactly the point. That's why Blake's here. That's why he is so important to the show. It's about the idea that we're doing something and we're giving you, the audience, something that nobody else in town is. We've taken what the usual model is. We'll break it, shake it up a little bit, and sometimes it's going to make you mad. Sometimes you're going to make you laugh. Sometimes it's going to be interesting and you share stories with your friends. That's it. Yeah, he's just doing something different that nobody else in town does. That's why he's here for us, and we love the fact that he does it every day.
I like that too. You're almost like a radio station shock jock type show, which I kind of like, because not like shock jock, just stupid, things.
The secret's out. The secret's out.
See, Francis, the secret's out that when Jeff and I started putting this together, we sat down, and one of the things that he and I talked about is that some of the core concepts inside of talk radio are lost because they forget what makes FM radio so good. So Jeff and I absolutely, some of the silly things, when we come in here and we play music for an entire Friday of some theme or something, and I annoy Jeff with my ska music, and he comes back and shares songs that are important to he and his life, those are things that come out of FM radio. That's what we're doing. We're stealing from them.
I'm going to have Bill sit on a speaker later and me go,
I love that. I thought that ska show was pretty dang funny, because it was... I could kind of, I like ska music, but I just liked the way that it was viscerally disliked. I thought it was funny. I got a kick out of it.
I got to share with you a bit. And I love Jeff to death. I mean, he calls me in the middle of the night and says, I need help. I'm like, you tell me where we have to bury the body. I got no questions. I'm not going to rat him out or nothing. I will do anything for him. And this is the thing that I found the most intriguing, and the thing that endeared him even more to me was that he doesn't have an emotional connection to music. It doesn't hit him the same way it does me, except for the stuff he doesn't like. And then all of a sudden, there it is. And I love that, because I don't understand that at all, but I love the fact that he's wired that way. It's so special.
Francis, I appreciate the call. Thanks so much.
Thanks,
Francis's line will be open 303-696-1971. Or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line 720-819-5115. Speaking of Dan Caplis, Dan suggests you should choose a lawyer who shares your values, because who you choose to represent you in an injury case is going to say a lot about you to everybody involved in the case. Dan Caplis is the son of a police officer and a former seminarian who's dedicated the last 40 years of his life to helping people who are hurt in serious motor vehicle crashes. Dan is believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases. Dan is also believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado history. Dan Caplis Law is the official law firm partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. Dan Caplis Law is a serious firm for serious cases. Dan accepts righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis so that he can represent good people from all walks of life without regard to ability to pay. So if you need Dan's help, give him a call. 303-770-5551, or hit dancaplisLaw.com. That's Dan, C-A-P-L-I-S Law.com. All right, let's go to David. Is David calling us from California?
Yes, he is.
Good morning, David. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning. Hey, you're in the past. We're in the future compared to you.
Yeah, just an hour. Yeah, it got done.
Just an hour. Yeah,
ago.
that stupid thing. Yes.
Yeah, I didn't realize your FM. Since I'm catching you on the stream, are you in stereo?
I think we are on stream, but not terrestrial. Yeah, I think they split it up on the stream, but I'm not sure.
When you're playing your ska, do you get? Does the audience out there?
No, actually, it's even worse.
Yeah, no. Actually, we send it to the transmitter in stereo, but the transmitter changes it in its own only mono. So no, you can't do the stereo side.
Oh, what a drag!
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, because that's half the fun of being able to play music.
Oh God, yeah. There's some Led Zeppelin songs that are like must listen tos on headphones because of what they did, and there's some Beatles songs as well that you don't really appreciate musically what they did in the studio until you put the headphones on, and then you're like, oh good God, yeah. But continue.
Yeah, no joke. Yeah. By the way, I used to live out in Grand Junction, so I worked in country and western, a big band station, rock station, and as well. College station, and while I was out in Junction, I went to a yard sale one day and picked up a copy of Mussolini and Rocco's treatise on the corporate state, which was the origins of fascism.
Yeah. Now, I love the fact that you found that at a garage sale. Just continue the story, but I love the fact that was in the garage sale. There's so many questions there. But
it's available in every school library. Go ahead.
I know.
Well, I think it was published, not sure during the 30s or 40s, but it was made available to Americans so they could understand what Hitler was all about. Because if you know the history of the corporate state, that's what Mussolini created it, and then Hitler took it. And it's basically the idea that there's this round table of government, and that all of the monopolies get to sit at the round table of government, and the people still get to elect a president. And the president has to be able to be so wise and clever that he's able to compete against all of the monopolies. But when it comes to election time, the monopolies don't want anybody wise and clever. They would love a vain fool, because then they're able to get everything. And so when you start looking at the issue of Jimmy Kimmel getting fired, I've heard now this little clip that came out of the Jimmy Kimmel firing. He's not disparaging Kirk. He's talking about if I understand right, the Epstein file, Kirk was trying to get the Epstein file released, and Trump couldn't have that. And so there's a discussion of who killed Kirk, whether it was the people who are trying to cover for Trump, or there's another angle, and that's that Kirk was starting to ask questions about Gaza, and so whether or not Netanyahu had him whacked. So it's not a bunch of liberals that got him whacked. It's very much more likely that it's a right winger.
David, I'm gonna lose my mind over this. Are you kidding me?
We already fought about this first hour.
You literally have a guy writing text messages why he killed Charlie Kirk, and you have the audacity to come on here and tell me it was Netanyahu or Trump? Give me a break.
Yep.
No.
That's it.
Get out of here. Shut. Golly.
I appreciate the call, David. I understand where you're going with it, though.
David,
I
come on.
Where he's going with it.
Come on.
The thing is,
and that's not even what Jimmy Kimmel had anything to say about.
No, he didn't.
Jimmy's going after the MAGA gang on this one.
Yeah, and he's saying that, and that's what he.
I guess it's just everybody but the guy who actually wrote the confession.
Well, he said he did it, but he didn't say he did it because of my, wildly left-leaning ideology. And again, the indoctrination that he received from the Utah college and the Utah public school system. Again, this vast liberal
Guy has a
indoctrination.
trans lover. He's talking about how much he hates Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
And he's going to publicly execute him.
But you can hate Charlie Kirk and not be a leftist, because there is hatred for Charlie Kirk on the right.
It is everybody but that guy. And
No, it is that
ridiculous.
guy. No, but it's the idea is it is that guy. The question is, what jacket is that guy wearing? And that's what uniform is he wearing?
Wearing the Defend Israel
Oh, yeah.
jacket.
Again, I don't know. I don't know. I haven't seen anything. Again, I haven't seen anything in his opinions on Israel. I haven't seen anything on his opinions on Israel. But the other thing is, I've only seen one social media post about Trump and only one social media post about Biden from him. So again, the guy that is this liberal activist, in his social media, we've found a single post about Biden and a single post about Trump. Neither one of them seem to be that aggressive on either one. Again, this liberal that is so indoctrinated that he had to go out and kill Charlie Kirk has one social media post about Trump? Really?
And you guys are
Really?
watching his family come out talk about him, the FBI talk about it, the governor talk about it. We're going to ignore all that, go to his social media posts and claim that because he doesn't explicitly say why he wants to kill Donald Trump, he's not somehow
No, but the idea is he has
influenced
the issue
by
is
progressive ideology.
No, the issue is the number of posts. That's what I'm concerned about.
Oh
He has
you
one.
guys will strain
Not you
the
guys.
gnat
No.
to swallow. You and I are going to go right back into the 6 o'clock hour.
Yeah, we might, but I'm just saying this is just he has one post. That's the idea. Is I understand what the FBI and other agencies have said. I get it. However, before you sit here and tell me that the FBI is absolutely the Bible-believing teller of truth, remember what people said 2, 3, 4 years ago. I said, hey, FBI said stuff, and we got phone calls and text messages about, oh my God, Bill, you're so crazy. How could you ever believe any of those 3-letter agencies? How many people called our show, Jeff, and said, I don't believe any of those 3-letter agencies anymore? Yet now we sit there and take, and I'm not saying you, I'm saying us, our society is saying, well, obviously, the people that said the FBI lies to us all the time is now saying the FBI is telling us 110% of the truth. And I did find the source I had earlier. It's the reporter Ken Klippenstein, who says, and he's quoting a friend of the shooters, saying that the parents' ideas are based on someone they don't fully understand. Said the family was generally supportive of Robinson, but they didn't know about the fact that he was dating a person that was transitioning. Yeah, he said, I don't think even Tyler knew how his parents would deal with it if they found out. That's what he said. He said, where is it? He said that, yes, he was bisexual, but also a strong Second Amendment supporter. That's an interview of a friend of his with a reporter. That's what he said.
And you guys willing to run out there and claim this? Well, the FBI, the investigators are saying he's motivated by progressive ideology, all to try to muddy the water as to what is actually leading to violence.
Here's the thing.
It's irresponsible.
I think it's irresponsible to sit there and say, well, he's obviously this deep-seated leftist, because we haven't seen proof of that. We haven't. There's nothing that. Where is it in the?
Say that you haven't seen proof of that.
Where's the proof? Can you help me understand? Where's the proof?
What the family's saying.
But his friends say something different.
You could say, well, they're
Jeff,
saying something different. But you just said you have no proof.
What? No proof of what?
That he's a leftist.
I'm looking for the deep.
You
no, what? Hang on a
just said
sec.
he had no proof.
Wait, what I'm saying is I don't see the deep-seated that he's soaked in this liberal ideology. If you can show it to me, where is
You're
it?
splitting hairs right now when
No,
I
that's
just
important.
pointed out to you that the whole family's saying it.
But I'm pointing out to you that his friends that are closer to him and
It's just
involved in
not
the world
deep-seated
said
enough.
something different. No. His friends are saying something completely different. Does that matter at all in your mind? Does it matter
Sure
at all?
it does. Sure. And look, I'm willing to look at this, but I'm not going to dismiss him as a groyper. There was no evidence of that.
Here's the thing.
Hang on
a sec.
You have Jimmy Kimmel saying that they're MAGA people, and then you got Dave Collins saying, no, it's actually the Jews. Oh, no, never mind. It's Trump because he didn't want the Epstein files. It's a constant effort to bounce around the actual truth that this guy hated Charlie Kirk, most likely because of his position on transgenderism, and lie the fact he's living with a transgender guy.
Okay, that I will agree with. That statement that he most likely hated Charlie Kirk because of his position on transgenderism. Yes. Yep. However, that doesn't mean the shooter is this wild leftist liberal activist. And he's been described by that in media over and over again as radical left activist. We see nothing in his background or history that shows him being a radical left activist. There's no trail on social media, nothing that his friends say, and his parents say that he's been trending left, but these are the parents that didn't know he was dating someone that's trans.
You set up this like bizarre thing that this is what a leftist activist actually is, right? This is what he is. And I don't see 2,000 tweets about being a leftist activist.
Well, hang on
I
a
don't
sec.
see him writing a treatise about being a leftist
Hold on.
activist. Therefore, he's not a leftist activist.
Isn't activist sort of built on the premise of the verb action? And where's the action?
I just feel like you guys are dancing around what is blatantly in front of us.
Can you show me where it is? Where is it blatantly in front of us? Because we don't have
what the
him.
parents are saying and his
But
own
the kids,
text
but the
messages,
friends
Bill.
say something different, and he doesn't
Fascist
say.
catch.
He doesn't say that he is this that he's a huge liberal activist. None of the text messages,
And you're
none of the
dismissing
Discord
all
chats.
the evidence because he's not a huge liberal
No,
activist.
all the evidence. What evidence? I'm looking for it. I agree with you that he hated
describe
Charlie
it.
because of the LGBTQ. I agree with that. But outside of that, I don't know what other proof you're looking for. I see one post about Trump, one post about Biden that we've seen in social media so far. His parents say one thing, but his friends say something else. His friends that were in the Discord chat say they were surprised he was political at all because he didn't discuss politics
It's all
with
a
them.
distraction campaign. They went after and said he was a groyper. Jimmy Kimmel saying he's MAGA. It's all a distraction campaign. Don't buy into it. Stay focused. This guy had been turned. He was a leftist. He was angry about transgenderism. That comes from his own parents. That comes from his own statements. And just like after January 6th, everybody runs backwards to go if Donald Trump said any statements that would have set the audience off to go up there and protest. Society's doing the same thing right now with these guys, is calling everybody a fascist and a Nazi that you disagree with, creating the framework by which you have the shootings taking place in the Catholic schools, the shooter against Charlie Kirk. People are asking questions the same way they did it around January 6th. All right, let's get to advanced hair restoration. Let's talk about your hair. If you're losing it and desire to have it back, then advanced hair restoration has the easiest guaranteed solution. Their simple one-day treatment offers life-changing results. I've seen it with my own eyes. Guys, it's not magic, but close to it. They put hair where you need it the most, and bam, it grows. It's actually science. Advanced Hair has it all. Top-rated Dr. Tanya Paul's modern technology, and best of all, you get your own natural hair that begins regrowing the very next day. Advanced Hair even guarantees it will grow for life. So schedule your free consultation now, 720-459-HAIR. If you qualify, you get $250 off and 250 free hair grafts. Advanced Hair is the winner of Westward's Best of Denver and has changed the lives of tens of thousands of people. So don't wait. Check out the before and afters online for yourself at 720-459-HAIR or advancedhair.com, 720-459-HAIR, or advancedhair.com. Will continue. Jam-packed phone lines. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
All right, Billy and I.
Yes. So much fun.
It's the show.
Yeah, it is.
We bounce all over the place.
Yeah, we do.
So, why do you think that they rioted after George Floyd?
Again, could be totally wrong. For me, the issue is the question of who. And what I mean by that is who took the action that led to the death. And the difference, I believe, is in one case with George Floyd, it's seen as the state, or with Charlie Kirk, it's seen as an individual. And you can riot against the state. It's harder to riot against an individual. That's more difficult. That's why I think it was. I would think that if you had the same situation with law enforcement or military doing something to someone that was on the right or conservative or something else, we may see something a little bit different. But that's what I think the difference is, the filter of the state versus the individual.
Here's the challenge that I have with all of this, because I go to all these rallies. I go to the right rallies, I go to the left rallies. I cover them all. I look at the left and I go, they are far more prone to violence. I see it. I see it in the signs. I've been assaulted at one of those rallies. When I go to the right rallies, which are few and far between, you get the March for Life, which is like literally the most peaceful thing out there. And those people have every right to be angry and frustrated. Their tax dollars are being used to kill people in their worldview. And they're like super peaceful.
Yeah,
and then I go to like these little parental rights ones, or the House Bill 1312, frustration. I don't see the signs. I don't see the piñatas. I don't see the lady that I interviewed that was like, no, I want Trump and Musk publicly executed. That element doesn't exist on the right.
The Cato Institute just last week had released a study looking at right and left-wing violence, and we can interpret how they looked at it. But Cato's more right than left, and they found exponentially more murders and violence motivated by right ideology than left.
Who? Like, what's an example of that?
We don't have time for that right now. We got 4
seconds.
seconds.
That's the point. They put out I can't.
This is
you're listening
KNUS.
to Jeff.
We'll be right back.